Hey Firsties, welcome back to week 8, day 2. So you guys have been killing it with shapes. You've been doing such a fantastic job. So we're gonna kick it up a notch, right? So here's what we're talking about today. We are talking about halves and quarters, not the kind of quarters that you use to count with for money. We're talking about a different kind of quarter, and I will show you here in just a minute. So I have a circle here, okay? So let's pretend this circle is a piece of pecan pie, right? Delicious. So here's Mrs. Gordon's pecan pie. I decide that since I am just the nicest teacher ever, I'm going to share a piece with you. So what I think would be fair is if I divided it right down the middle. So I have a piece and you have a piece. Do we both have equal pieces of the pecan pie? We do. They're both equal. Now, me and you, we've had our pieces of pie, and we decide that we're going to share it with 2 other friends. How do you think Mrs. Gordon should divide this so that our 2 other friends can also enjoy a piece of this delicious pecan pie? We have to be careful. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide it into what's called quarters. So if Mrs. Gordon draws another line through the middle, now we have 4 pieces of pecan pie for everybody to share. See how they're all equal? No one's getting a larger piece, no one's getting a smaller piece, they're all equal. So what we just did is we just divided this pie into quarters. The reason why it's called a quarter of a pie, this is when you're dealing with 4 equal parts. So in your brain, you need to think quarter means 4. So this would be 1/4 of the pie, 2/4 of the pie, 3/4 of the pie, and 4/4 of the pie. So that makes the whole pie here. So remember, so these are quarters, and these is half. So remember how we started with half, me and you, our parts of the pie, and we divided it in half one more time to get quarters so that we could share it with 4 people total, me, you, and 2 friends, right? So if you're feeling a little confused, that's okay, because we're gonna talk about it back here a little bit and it'll make a little bit more sense. Let Mrs. Gordon grab her marker. Okay, so let's start with halves. Halves are what we're most comfortable with, and it's what we know. Let's look up here at this square Mrs. Gordon drew. So here is our dotted line. So when you see a dotted line, all that means is it's showing you where it would be cut, right? So this square, this is where it would start being cut. Is this gonna be cut in half? Where that line is going through, are these 2 equal halves here? It is, right? We have as you can see here, it actually made triangles. So they cut through this square and it is cut through equally. Remember, just because a line goes through the middle doesn't necessarily mean it's in half. It has to be equal on both parts, or else you're not actually giving half of something away. So this one is, yes, it is divided in half. Let's look at this circle here. Look at where the line is for it to be cut. Is that circle going to be cut in half? Look at where that line is placed. No, it is not going to be cut in half. If Mrs. Gordon cuts off this part of the circle, look how much larger that piece is. That's not half, which means it's not fair or equal. So this one, nope. Let's look at this triangle here. This one's a little tricky. Here's the line. It's in the middle of the triangle. So remember, like Mrs. Gordon said, for it to be cut in half, that means that each part has to be completely equal for it to be actually in halves. So are these 2 equal halves here of the triangle? Look closely. Are these 2 equal halves? No, they are not equal. So that's why it's so important. Just because there's a line going down the middle doesn't mean it's in halves. This part up here has way more than the part down here. So no, this is not in halves. Now that we got our halves down, we're gonna go back to talking about quarters. So remember, quarter means Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? Quarters mean fourths, okay? So let's look down here. We have a circle here, and I see a dotted line going down the middle, and I see another dotted line going down the middle. Let's see here. So it has 1, 2, 3. It has 4 equal parts. So that means it's divided into quarters. I see a line going down the middle here and another line going down the middle. Are these divided into 4 equal parts? If this was Mrs. Gordon's pecan pie, is everybody getting a fair share of the pie? Yeah. So this one is divided into quarters. Let's look at this rectangle here. Let's count how many parts we're seeing. So I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 parts of this rectangle, which means it is kind of in quarters. But does it actually qualify? Is it actually in quarters? Because remember, for anything to be in halves or quarters, they have to be equal. Are these all equal parts here? So can we say this is divided into quarters? No, because it's not equal. So nope. Remember, has to be equal throughout. Last one here. We have a rectangle, and let's see how many parts here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it is divided into 4 parts. So let's see if they're equal so that it is quarters. Let's look at our lines here. Would you say this is divided into quarters? Are they in all equal parts? Yeah, everybody's getting a fair piece here. So let's say this was like a chocolate bar and you were to cut it down like this into 4 equal parts, then everybody would be getting a fair slice of that candy bar. So the answer is yes, this is divided into quarters. So today in Seesaw, you are going to be doing a very similar assignment. You're going to be looking at shapes and telling Mrs. Gordon yes or no if it is divided into halves or if it's divided into quarters. Remember, halves mean you're dividing something into 2 equal parts. Quarters is when you're dividing something into 4 equal parts. Remember, quarter means 4. A way Mrs. Gordon remembers this, if you know your money, how many quarters does it take to equal $1? 25, 50, 75, $1. So there's 4 quarters and $1. So that's how Mrs. Gordon remembers what makes up a quarter, right? So 4. All right, guys, enough talking. I will let you go. Hope you have a fabulous day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.